Cyber Innovations in the Private Sector highlights case studies and the latest industry trends from private vendors. Explore innovative solutions, success stories, and exclusive insights from industry leaders. Stay ahead with the cutting-edge developments driving the industry forward.
Welcome to a new episode of CyberSecTV. We are today with Oliver Pinson-Roxburgh from defense.com. Welcome, Oliver. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Nicholas. It's great to be here.
How long has defense.com been involved in the cybersecurity landscape?
And along that journey, myself and my co-founder and our chairman, we were sort of talking about the gaps that we felt there were in cybersecurity. And one of the big areas we felt like there was a big gap was in providing a complete cybersecurity platform for smaller businesses that was kind of easy to use, simplify their security strategy, and was a cost-effective solution. And so that really, that drive to build that platform, which is now defense.com, as we call it today, was really more over the sort of 3 to 4 year time frame. So we've been doing security for a long time. I mean, I've been in the industry for 20 plus years. So we've sort of got into that rhythm of building this platform really alongside what we were doing with building Bulletproof. But now our kind of pure focus as defense.com is purely on building a SaaS platform to deliver that real mission to help these smaller businesses to improve their security materially.
The next question will be, what are the core cybersecurity services that defense.com provide?
Yeah, so like I say, we were looking at what do organizations really need. And so there's a lot of key capabilities, key functionality that organizations that are smaller that really need to improve their security. And it was always really focused on that. Like, what are the main foundations of that cybersecurity strategy? And we started to look at all of those core components. At the time, I guess it wasn't really a very well-known acronym in the industry, which was XDR. But I guess most people sort of see us more as an XDR player. But we feel like we're a little bit more than that. As an organization, we've tried to bring all these technologies into one place and spend a lot of time working out how do we get the basics right for these small businesses and those foundational basic security capabilities. So that's what we offer in the platform today. So it's very broad. We provide training, phishing. We have a SIM SOC service included in the packages that we offer. We have a threat management interface. We do vulnerability scanning. We can incorporate penetration testing. We have endpoint protection and antivirus. So there's a lot of capability, and also to integrate with existing security investments. So if they're already using a Microsoft Defender, or they're using SentinelOne, or they're using a Sophos technology, we can bring all those into this one management interface so they can really quickly respond to threats. And that's our kind of big key benefit to the organization, is that if you want to respond fast, you can do it very quickly within defense.com. We can quickly help them to take action to automate the response of that activity into their environment so that they can quarantine that threat, get the initial containment done. And then the idea is to provide remediation advice through the platform so that they can then remediate them over time to figure out, like, how did they get in, or what was the risk in the first place, and how do we fix that long term? So ultimately, we're kind of a platform to be able to bring all these things together and make sure that they've got good security coverage. We're a global a global company. We provide 24/7 operations as well. So we do have coverage for global organizations. And as a sort of SaaS platform, it's delivered purely through SaaS. So it's very easy for organizations globally to adopt. But yeah, our core focus has always been looking at the UK and the US market initially, and then how do we then scale that out into the rest of the world. And like I say, we've been building this platform for best part of 3 to 4 years now. And now the maturity of the platform is getting to the point now where we're scaling. We've got about 3,500 businesses on the platform already. And now it's about continuing to scale that out. And the way we're doing that at the moment is also to work with partners. So identifying strategic partners that are helping their customers to improve security, can provide that kind of layer of additional consulting or support, like NSPs or IT providers. It's not to say that somebody couldn't purchase the product and go use it themselves, but we definitely find that managed service providers really have a good eye for how they can improve their customer security, and they're looking for tools to help them do that. And that's where we found that technology starts to make a difference for them and help them to secure their customers and provide them ultimately a clear understanding of their compliance journey. So providing compliance support and giving them the wrapper that explains how they can maintain and continue compliance over time. So we've got functionality to do sort of automated compliance checks and those sorts of things. So there's a lot going into the platform that helps them as well.
Yeah, you just mentioned about the regulations, and I have to ask about the NIS2 compliance and the CRA. What have you been doing around that?
Yeah, there's two kind of big areas, I think, in the compliance space that's really evolving. Well, there's lots, right? I mean, PCI changed to version 4 recently, and that's obviously a big shift for some customers. There's new things they need to do, and there's a lot of, I guess, confusion initially around what needs to be addressed, and some of the sort of features that are coming in the future that they're expecting you to deliver as part of your PCI audits are a little bit more complex and more involved than previous years. So that was a big change and a big shift that we've been looking to help organizations to try and solve and make it a bit more streamlined and easier for them. The way we've done it for PCI, we've really focused on being a service provider ourselves. So we're a level 1 service provider. So for those organizations that have the complexity of needing to address their compliance standards, we offer a lot of functionality to enable that for them, so they don't have to worry so much about areas like monitoring and incident response and those things. We can support them in those areas. But the other two big ones, like you say, is NIS2. Look, all compliance standards are really focused on getting the basics right. So they're ultimately all trying to do the same thing. It's just the intent of the standard is slightly different in each area. Like PCI's intent is to protect payment card data and is very targeted in that space. Whereas some of the other more general standards are focusing on different things. Like ISO focuses more on policy, SOC 2 focuses more on the application, NIST has got a more broader kind of coverage and looking at technology sets and things. And the other one that we've seen that's about to change, which is more affects the US healthcare, is HIPAA. HIPAA's gone through a big change, and they're identifying new areas of improvement in the standards that have come out recently and expecting new functionality or new things that people need to follow up on. So I think there's a lot of areas of confusion around these sorts of standards, but like I say, ultimately for us, we just see it as it's just another standard, and it's still the basics need to be in place. And if you get that good foundational basics in place, then the compliance should come along the journey. Like get security right, and compliance comes along with it. And even Cyber Essentials is going through a change here for the UK market, where they're expecting you to do things like device discovery or asset discovery exercises, which isn't particularly clear yet what's the best way to do that for businesses, and could be quite complex, especially for smaller organizations. So they've all got their kind of challenges, and they've all got I guess that from an organization's perspective, it maybe feels like you're having to jump through lots of hoops. But like I say, if you get it right and you get the basics right, compliance shouldn't be complicated.
Can you tell one thing that can distinguish Defense.com among other players?
The main thing for us at the moment is reassurance. I think a lot of organizations have this feeling that they've invested a lot of money in lots of different technologies, but maybe they're not so confident that when a problem arises, whether that's an indicator of attack or they actually feel like they've been compromised, acting on that quickly is often still not easy. Even if you put a lot of investment in, if you've gone to like getting all the top tier Microsoft licensing, you've got Microsoft ATP, to go and address that problem when you're in an incident is still a lot of clicking around to find it in Microsoft. And of course, you generally invest, and it's good practice to invest with a layered defense strategy, to have lots of security controls in place that if one fails, the other one should catch it. So to go into an incident and say, well, how do I remediate this for a smaller business or contain it, let's say, let's start there, quickly, it's very complicated. So that's where we're really focused. It's like, can we, in the simplest way possible, get a customer to the point where they're within 2 clicks of containing something quickly, and then they can go focus on the remediation steps. Like, how do I take our lessons learned from the fact that we've had an incident, whether it's a phishing email or whether they've got some ransomware. Okay, let's contain it so it doesn't spread, and then how do we fix it quickly after that point in time? So our big focus has always been bringing all those investments into one place and make it really, really easy that you can just log straight in, or making a quick action from within our platform that just says, right, we're contained, we're safe. And then knowing that there's somebody always there to be able to cover you, which I don't think is unique. A lot of people have got 24/7 operations. I think the key unique differentiator for us is that with all these investments you've made, you can easily just get that containment done. And that solves your problem, and then that allows you to relax. And we've got clients where, like, out of hours we do that for them, and it's almost like they go into a code red shutdown because there's not anything that theoretically should happen, and then they know that they can wake up in the morning and deal with it in the morning, rather than waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to solve a problem. So I think that's really what's resonating well with the clients that we're already working with. It's that, you know, we've got a partnership there that means that we're that responder for them that's quick and easy to respond. And again, simplicity has always been at the heart of everything we do. How do we make it really easy to reduce that complexity of security? Security is too complicated for lots of organizations, so simplifying it is key. many years ago, we had a client, a potential client, come to us looking for incident response, and we managed to get the business, and we worked through this incident response process with them, and we looked at the evidence, and the evidence suggested that one day prior to the actual outbreak of the ransomware, an attacker had been in and put their software onto their platform. And it was only the day later, when nobody had noticed it, that the attacker decided to kick off their ransomware campaign and took down the whole organization. And that sort of really clicked with me, because I think that's, in general, what we see a lot. You know, the first indicator that, and then the thing they could have done to materially and quickly resolve that issue, the mean time to remediation is like the most important thing. Like, how quickly can I resolve it? Because the other thing as well is, if you think about cyber insurance, the longer you leave it, the more the costs are going to ramp up. The more it costs you for your cyber insurer to pay for any additional things you need to do, like always there's an incident response activity, but then there's things like loss of business that they would have to pay out from this cyber insurance policy. And then eventually your cyber policy runs out. You're only covered for, let's say, I don't know, €1 million or something like that. And then at the end of that, then all of a sudden it's now eating into your pocket that you've got to deal with. So that whole ability to get the problem solved really quickly helps in so many different areas. Just reduction of the amount of time you have to spend to try and fix the problems, like the potential impact from a cost perspective, the outage to clients, all these things need to be considered. So in that exact example, I thought to myself, like, if there was a technology that could solve that problem and remediate it quicker, then they would have spotted the incident because they'd have seen the file get dropped the day before, and they would have never had to deal with a ransomware issue. And they wouldn't have had that big cost of somebody doing a forensics and then having to remediate it for all of the other services. And that's where it really does click, like that first initial evidence, even if it's the smallest thing, you should be investigating that to try and identify if you can deal with it. But nobody's got the time to do that in a small business. And they often don't have the budget to go spend investing in those sorts of things. So I think that's really driven us to where we've got to today with our product, to say we've got to help small businesses to address that problem. Because that'll help improve their security, and not only that, but also provide them the compliance and the safety and the reassurance they can sleep easy at night knowing that somebody's got their back.
Oliver, is there anything else you would like to talk about?
I've seen recently, it is things like cyber insurance. I think there's a very low adoption from a cyber insurance perspective, which is strange. People are so used to having fire alarms because their insurers tell them to have it in their houses, yet cybersecurity sort of is myth. And it's so valuable to have. I think maybe people have this misconception of cyber insurance organizations will just try to constantly not pay out on their insurance, but that's quite the contrary. Most of the time we see it from a cyber insurance perspective that people do pay, or the insurers will pay out. So I think there's some education that needs to happen in the cyber insurance market, and it is massively beneficial, especially for small businesses that don't have the budget to throw out an incident when it happens. Right. And there's so many additional benefits to it. So I think looking at overall as an organization and a business, your strategy should not only just be looking at your security strategy, how that then fits into your compliance journey, but also the outcomes of an incident. What do you need? And that is things like incident response plans, but also cyber insurance, because it will give you that breathing space to deal with incidents. It will give you, it obviously helps you from a cost perspective, and so I think that's something that businesses, I would suggest, has a little bit investigates further. Have they got good cover? Have they got any cover? So I think that'd probably be the thing I'd leave on, really, is to look at your overall cybersecurity strategy as a whole. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You can simplify it. You just got to be smart.
We are strong believers also in awareness and training that also can make a change into the organizations.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I think training is one of those challenging things for many businesses as well, to get it right. It actually resonates with people and makes sure people actually do learn from the threats that we're seeing. Because I still speak to organizations that are doing phishing simulations and people get caught every year. So it starts to put into question, are phishing simulations even working, and is the training working? But you're absolutely right. The more we educate people, the more it becomes part of their standard BAU, their day-to-day. You don't want them to be paranoid that they don't do their job, but equally you do need them to think security, and that's what the training does. It helps to make sure they're ready and they understand what they're likely to see in an incident, and that comes through the training and the education piece and the simulations and all these things. So it's definitely a key part.
So, Oliver, thank you very much for being today with us, and I hope to see you soon.
Once again, thanks, Nicholas. It's been a pleasure chatting to you. And look forward to see more of the podcast, and hopefully everyone gets some benefit from it. And looking forward to seeing the next one.
Thank you for being here with us, and I hope to see you back in another episode of Innovation in the Private Sector.